to get $2,000 if you get that correctly, and that is separate from the question on Noel Chambers, all right? But let's get into the topic of today quickly, and then we take the break and come back with Carla Golato. Now, we said detained at pleasure, and for years, decades, we have seen where persons who are mentally ill have been detained without ever being charged, detained at the court's pleasure, detained at the Governor General's pleasure. In 2020, the findings of an independent commission of investigation, Indicom report, shocked the nation as pictures emerged of Noel Chambers' emaciated body. So in other words, he was basically down to skin and bones. And for those who don't remember, Noel Chambers is a mentally ill man who died after spending several decades in prison without ever standing a trial because he was deemed unfit to plead, meaning the court found that he was not mentally fit to stand trial. All right. The other thing to point out was that in that Indicom report in 2020, they also reported that they were aware of 146 mentally ill persons who are imprisoned without having been tried. And then in 2019, which was the year prior, the Legal Aid Council reported that it was aware of 313 such persons. So I think it's fair to say that with the absence of an audit, given that a number of people are lost in the prison system, we're not too sure of what the true number may be as a result. So much to think through there. We're going to be taking the break, and then I finish out with giving you some more background information on the topic. We take the break and we return.
Out of merit to the foundation of the music, to all the godfathers who set it.
Music is changing from concept to creation, distribution, marketing, content, and what happens post-pandemic. On The Bridge, we talk about it in a real way. Join Clyde McKenzie as he explores music and examines history, trends, personalities, and issues affecting the music on Musically Speaking this Sunday, noon to 2 p.m., only on The Bridge 99 FM, with the major players on the local and international music scene. Musically Speaking, real conversations about the music. On The Bridge 99.
Brought to you through the kind courtesy of VP Records. VP Records, miles ahead in reggae.
Hi, I'm Ronald Thwaites, and I'm the host of The Public Eye and The Open Mind on The Bridge 99 and Irie Jam in the tri-state area. This program will tell you the truth about life back a yard. Fair, open talk. No gossip, no slander. We want to listen to your concerns. Also want to help you with your problems in JA. We at The Bridge rate you and affirm our oneness as citizens of this blessed land we love. So join us now on Wednesdays on The Bridge, crossing the waters, linking Jamaicans and Jamaican lovers everywhere.
Yo, dancehall can't start when the money must shot the content.
Right.
Introducing The Bridge 99 FM Dancehall Chart Show.
I are the one, and they are what?
All about our weekly top 10 music countdown, our Bridge Spotlight featuring artists and music producers, and our chat with the Bridge Jocks and music director.
We bring you in on the action. Just send your videos every week for your favorite artists on the chart in our Fan Affair segment. Do it WhatsApp 876-551-5782.
Jogger!
It's new, it's authentic, it's trend-setting, and only on The Bridge. The Bridge 99 FM Dancehall Chart Show, hosted by Shell.
You know the vibes. This Friday at 1 p.m. at the wickedest thing since dancehall. You know the thing go. We're bringing the vibes to the where, to the what, to the world.
It's Jamaican, it's Caribbean, to the world on The Bridge 99 FM. You heard?
The people's champion. Our mission is love. Our vision is love. Jamaicans, by justice. The people's champion. Justice, justice for all. Justice under law. Justice, Jamaica.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Justice. I'm told that the YouTube platform is back up, so if you're not able to listen on radio, you can join us on YouTube. Now, we're discussing the matter of persons who are mentally ill, who are unfit to stand trial or not able to plead. How we have seen where they have been lost in the prison system. And just to quickly highlight that the Criminal Justice Administration Act does make provision for this, and it was amended in 2011, wherein no longer can someone be detained at the Governor General's pleasure, but they can still be detained at the court's pleasure. And there are a couple of orders that can be made by the court just the same, where that individual can be remanded in custody at the court's pleasure. The person can be committed to a psychiatric facility, or the person can be given a supervision and treatment order or a guardianship order, wherein depending at the type of mental illness that is there, the person can be released to the family. Now, despite these provisions, we all know the gaps in the institution, and Carla Gulato is going to be talking to us a little bit about that. But since, Carla can correct me on the years, but JFJ and Stand Up for Jamaica, we have been partnering as an organization independently as well while we partner. And we have attorneys that have been working on these matters. Terence William, who is the former commissioner of Indicom. John Clark, who is the board chair of Jamaicans for Justice. Our legal manager, Sashika Richards, who have been working to release persons who are mentally ill. I believe in 2019, through our efforts, we managed to secure the release of 10 persons who had served as low as 19 years without standing trial to as high as 45 years. Just to put that in context. Carlo, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michael. First of all, congratulations. If it's your 50th anniversary, that's nice.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much. The 50th episode. And thanks as usual, Carla. You are one of our partners that we can always count on to share good perspectives on the different issues. Yeah.
We have been working together on several matters for a long time, and we went a long way, even if we still have a lot of work to do, right?
Yes, absolutely.
One of the matters which is dear to both of us is access to justice. And the situation about the mentally ill that you just mentioned is a striking example of lack of access to justice. As a stand-up for Jamaica, we have a position which is stating that somebody which is not fit to plead, that means is a mentally ill person, should not end up into a prison. It should be assessed at the beginning of the trial, and once you figure out what a kind of challenge he has, should be sent to an institution which need to be cured and not punished for something that is not fully aware of. This is the basic statement, right? Mentally ill should not end up in a prison. By the way, for the prison is a big burden because prisons are not equipped to host them. So there are 2 psychiatrists which are visiting 4,000 inmates. So can you imagine a mentally ill what kind of professional assistance can receive? There is a block where they are isolated from other ones, and there is nothing in that block for them to do for the full day. No training, no little rehab, no medical care, nothing. They are abandoned there. I went to see the block more than once, and it is something which is really appalling. The only thing they receive is an injection, a monthly injection, which is keeping them more unsound, and therefore they look like vegetables for 2 weeks, and then they start to wake up, then they start to go back to normal, and then they get a second injection. That is what it is mostly in a prison, so that's not the case for them. Apart this, the other thing which is heavily unacceptable is what you mentioned before, that there are hundreds of mentally ill lost in the system. Once they are detained, they being unfit to plead, which for the most majority of people does not mean much, but I want to explain it. That means that you cannot take care of your case. You cannot sign a document, you cannot sign a paper, you cannot require a court order. There is nothing
Can take part in your own defense, yes.
right to organize your own defense. So they are depending from their families, or if they have an attorney, he will proceed according to his choices. That is not happening for the majority of them, because those which are abandoned there, they don't have any value. So somebody which is in the system basically get lost. You mentioned before the fact that they were under the Governor General pleasure, and then since 2011 they were transiting to court pleasure. Nobody knows that that was almost impossible, because if those which were under the portfolio of the Governor General were transiting to the court, they had to sign the papers to do so. So most of them, they didn't even know that there was a paper, they didn't even know that they had to transit, and they were not anyhow able to sign for themselves.
Yes, because Carla, just to indicate, and I wanted to answer, one of the things that JFJ called for in 2022 was for the state not to place the burden on those with mental illness to make an application, those who were detained under the Governor General's pleasure. But for the state, the greater burden must be on them to review those matters and see the status of those clients, those detainees rather, and transition them either to the other orders wherein they are placed in a psychiatric facility. If they are now fit to plead or stand trial, then the prosecution should commence, or a guardianship order is done. To date, we're not aware from our end if anything of that nature was sorted. So if you could just specifically speak to that, what is the status of that transition?
It is particularly sad to realize that they are considered unfit to plead, but they are fit to suffer there.
Yeah.
Right? They are fit to bear the consequence of something which they cannot control or handle. The status of we started after the Indecom report, which was revealing to a lot of people what was the situation. We started an action with an amount of attorney, and there was also Isaac Buchanan among them, with the help of Indecom, trying to promote a civil action to get them out from the prison. Honestly, it has not been very successful, because we were planning, out of the 300 and more which were detained, to get out at least those under the Governor General of court pleasure, because they were detained since a minimum of 22 years to a maximum of 50 years.
Yes.
I don't want to tell you about Mr. Chambers, because I know that you have somebody which has to answer for how many years he was detained, but it was a very long time.
Yeah.
So once we start that action, the amount of obstacles that we have been encountering were more than what we thought. And I want to mention them to explain what it was. To achieve and to receive the folders, you need to be an attorney. So the attorneys went to some institutions to discover that those which were detained since such a long time, they might have been relocated, there was a hurricane, there was a flood, so the dockets could not be found. The second element was that the family were in need to be involved in an action which was promoting their freedom. 30 years means that the families migrated, the address that was in the folder was not the real address anymore, probably they relocated. It was also meaning that new generation in the family didn't know about those people. They forgot about them. They were not even born when they were detained. And also there is another element which needs to be considered, which is the financial burden. Because if you get out one of those people, you have to have evidence that they will be accommodated in an appropriate place in the family with infrastructures and network working around them. And they have a probation officer which is overviewing his situation. Most of the families, after so many years, were not particularly enthusiastic in taking back home somebody which might have been heavily mentally ill, also due to the incarceration. So they were in need to medical assistance, psychiatric assistance, monthly medication. Most of them have physical damages. Some are incontinent, some cannot walk anymore, some are half blind. So for the family, it was really not easy to. Some heroes did it. We have especially one which was in the media in the last days, George Williams.
Yes.
And George, there was the commitment of stand-up, which has been financially contributing, but there was also a strong commitment from the family. One of the family members migrated just to make sure that she could send every month the money to pay for him. So this full process has been very slow, and also the outcomes of where to put them, because you cannot get them out and maybe you risk they end up in the middle of the road. That won't be a progress.
Carla, hold that thought for me. I have to take the break. But when we return, I want us to follow up on the issue that you're mentioning, public safety. But in some instances, the family is willing to support, but the lethargy of the system has caused further harm. And I want us to pick up on the inquiry report that was done following Noel Chambers' matter being brought to the public. But we take the break.
Hungry for deals? Famous bowl combo from KFC, available for just $590. KFC, it's finger licking good. The time by KFC is
1:31.
KFC, tastes so good with the price we love. For the famous ball KFC, we are go. So delicious, what a good deal this. I'm satisfied, I'm a bucket down famous ball. Best tasting food for your money. So delicious, everybody loves it. With the chicken, corn, mashed potatoes, melted cheese and gravy.
Hungry for deals? Get the famous bowl combo from KFC. Creamy mashed potato, delicious chicken, melted cheese, corn, and gravy, plus a Pepsi for just $590. Also available in barbecue. KFC, it's finger licking good.
The Manus Park celebrates the anniversary of its millionaire maker, the Reggae 6. Join us for the 3rd annual Reggae 6 Anniversary Race Day on Saturday, October 7, 2023. Feature races include the 3rd annual Reggae 6 Anniversary Trophy, the I'm Satisfied Trophy, the Princess Popstar Trophy, plus a Reggae 6 mandatory payout with an estimated payout in excess of 20 million. In 2023, the Reggae 6 has made 15 millionaires and paid out over 57 million so far. Bet Reggae 6 and join our Millionaire Club. See you at the races.
Listen up, Jamaica. At Fosrich, everybody's getting a solar water heater. $20,000 deposit. 6 months to pay. What a deal! Fosrich Financing. Call us 876-937-5099.
Come back to Jamaica to the 33rd Annual Meritone Music Family Reunion and Homecoming, October 27 to 30, 2023. Join us at the 4 Diamond All-Inclusive Hyatt Rose Hall Resort in Montego Bay. Meritone group rates are available for a limited time. Check out our reunion 3-tour-room special and save. Bring your friends, bring your family, bring your dancing shoes. Kingston events start October 21. Visit www.meritonemusic.com or call 954-558-2002. Sponsored by Jamaica Tourist Board.
Check. Boom blast, I don't know, sir. Black here this right now, representing for the biggest station right now, your Bridge FM. How you mean? Don't tune it? Yeah, don't change it. You know, we're watching.
The people's champion. Our mission is love. Our vision is love. Jamaicans, by justice. The people's champion. Justice for all. Justice under the law. Justice, Jamaica the known. Right to life, right to liberty. Justice, justice for all. Justice under the law. Justice, the people demand. Right to life and security. Oh, what a joy. Oh, what a peace. How great this country could be. Respecting your rights. Respecting human rights. What a wonderful nation this could be. Out of many we are one in a Jamaica. Make it a better place for the boys and girls. Creating equality.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Justice. We're talking about the injustices that have been meted out to persons who are deemed unfit to stand trial, unfit to plead as a result of varying mental health or illness or incapacities, if you will. And I think the nation saw this Sunday Gleaner article, and it brought back to home, to the front, to the fore, the issues that continue to plague our justice system. We're joined by Carla Golato, the Executive Director of Stand Up for Jamaica, and she was explaining to us that when you have a slow pace in the justice system, where the state fails persons for decades, how it can impact the ability of family members to provide support for these individuals, even when there is a willingness, how it leads to dockets being lost and so on. And then we're going to be talking about when the state fails to uphold the human rights of people. We saw $6 million being provided to an individual who was incarcerated, imprisoned, locked away for 50 years without ever standing trial. And the state saw it fit to provide 6 million Jamaican dollars for those loss of income, deprivation of liberty. That was what the state found appropriate. And by the way, just to indicate, that was an increased amount from, I believe, the initial 3 million Jamaican dollars. Carlo, you were saying?
I am listening to you because this is a failure of the state, but it's also an outrage. Because you have somebody which has been incarcerated for 50 years with no trial. I remember the day when we were able finally to bring him to court and got him out. He was small, short, he was sitting on the bench, he didn't know what was going on, he was keeping asking where I am, can I get a beer, who is that person? He was completely lost. It was so terrible to see him like this. But on the other hand, there was the full family which was willing to help. And I think that I want to know, for example, what is the evaluation of the state to say that what they can pay for as compensation as a value of 6 million, which is 4,000 US. As I said, he is in need of care because he's well deteriorated. So we try to contribute. We have other people which I have to thank you for sending some little money for him to make the money for the end of the month, because in this moment he's not even at home anymore. He's in a sort of clinic because he needs a nurse 24 hours because he's incontinent, he has diabetes, he has moments where he does not remember where he is, etc., etc. So he needs some...
In this economic climate where the inflation wipes out anything at all.
Just to let you know that the famous 6 million that they would love to give to George have been abundantly spent already to keep him where he is for a year. So it is really unfortunate. I have seen a lot of comments which were commenting exactly the fact that what happened to George is unacceptable.
Yes.
We are trying to organize a GoFundMe, we are trying to organize a petition. Let's see where we can reach. If anybody is willing to help, I am very grateful because, as I said, the situation is very tough.
Please bring JFJ in to support Carla. And just to reiterate that point that you made, Stand Up for Jamaica is looking to support George and you said a GoFundMe account. So for those who are listening in, and I know Bridge has a wide platform of people overseas, I'm going to be leaving you can send an email. You can go on JFJ's platform. I'm going to ask Carla to share her email as well for Stand Up, so people can find out how exactly to support. But Carla, you can share those details before I even continue. But for those who are listening in, you can email admin@Jamaicans with the SFOR justice.org, admin@JamaicansforJustice.org, and whatever support you can provide or further information, we will turn it over to Stand Up for Jamaica. But Carla, if you could just share the details for how people can support.
You can write me. Cannot support me because I cannot do any GoFundMe from Jamaica. So I actually have tried to find somebody which is abroad.
Oh, you haven't done it yet? Okay.
No,
but they can send an email to maybe get banking details, and that can be shared.
And my personal email, it is Carla, CARLA, Jamaica, one word, 51@gmail.com, which means Carla Jamaica 51@gmail.com. If you want to contact me, I'll be happy. And if I can share something with you, I also will be happy to.
So, Carla, I'm willing to assist from JFJ with just some communication. We share it on our platforms and so on to see what we can do.
That's nice.
But just to shift focus a little.
What I wanted to focus, how many Judge Williams we have.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at those which are still incarcerated, most of them are detained at Tower Street. It's over 170 because we took out some. You were able to count a couple of them. Legal aid, which got funds from the Ministry of Justice, did not do a good job because they got only 3 out from the prison. But Minister, when the Indecom report came out, it was a sort of boom, right? Everybody was talking about. So Minister Samuda has opened an infirmary at Tamblin Farm, which is an institution, which is a farm, and the level of security are not very high. This infirmary is professional, but is small because they can maximum host, I think, 20 or 22 people. I went to see it. It looks really as it should be, an infirmary. They are free, they are moving around, there is a nurse, there is a doctor, but it does not cover the majority of the cases.
But Carla, I remember, and so I just want to put another thing in context. There was a report that is titled Mental Health Offenders Inquiry Committee Report. And that was following the Indicom's report that had brought again to the public light on Noel Chambers. And there were several recommendations in that report that, for example, there was an inconsistency in how we defined the standard of what fitness to plead means to ensure that people's deprivation of liberty is not being denied. Your liberty is not being deprived without that standard test, so to speak, where things can be applied equally based on the circumstances. That was one issue. The other issue was how the court should deal with those defendants found unfit to plead in terms of ensuring, again, that public interest and safety is maintained. But where the family is able and willing to support, those individuals should be released to their families. But there was also a commitment made by Dr. Christopher Tufton, I believe, at the time, that the state would have moved towards building a large facility to house these individuals. I don't remember that ever being done. So following that committee's report, can you recall, Carla, what were some of the main actions done by the state to say that they're really treating this with the seriousness that it deserves?
First of all, I want to make a point. What you mentioned is assessment.
Yes.
Nobody's assessing people when they go to court, because when we say mental illness, it is not one disease. As you say, illness. It can be different pathologies.
Yes.
So those pathologies need to be recognized in order to see how best you can cure a person. This does not exist. So we have been approaching at the time the Ministry of Health, and we still have ongoing a dialogue about early assessment in general, not only for people in prison. Diversion from detention, networking to support the family, and as much as possible, inclusion in their community as far as they are not dangerous to themselves or to others. The ministry has been mobilizing a little, but then with the COVID, most of the financial resources were diverted. But one of the things which was supposed to happen and it didn't was to refurbish Bellevue.
Yes.
We went to do an inspection. Half of it is closed. There is not even the fencing anymore. Goats are going around. And there are long-term people which are innocent. They don't give any troubles, like old ladies, etc., etc. But the function and the role of a Bellevue should be much more wider and should allow to host quite an amount of people, which is not. Now there is a new CEO which has been in charge since 3 months, and I should meet with the new CEO next week, and let's see if we can proceed. But behind all of that, there must be a legislative change which is stating that mentally ill do not end up in prison.
But Carla, before you move on, I wanted to clarify, because we've seen the social media post on Bellevue Hospital, and it looks good, it looks calm, it looks like a serene environment. Explain to the listeners the difference between what is on social media versus what you're seeing.
Well, I think that we all know that social media can show some situations which are not exactly the real one. I know that some efforts have been made. As I said, we went, but there is the need of much more work, and much more commitment, and much more investment.
And whether or not that hospital would be the space to host. Yeah.
And also remember, when we talk about these places, there is one in Kingston and there is Cornwall Hospital, which has a psychiatrist ward in Montego Bay. But we could utilize an amount of shelters which are in all over the island. For example, Stand Up works with the homeless shelter in Port Antonio, where we do rehab, because most of the homeless are mental. So we have programs for them, they do activities, they have cure, they have recreation. Some of them now are going to school to heart. That is the project which should be implemented to avoid that this monster situation repeats themselves. Because you see, George, or 3 more or 4 more that we take out from the prison, there will be somebody else going in.
Yeah.
There will be a next one which is going to be admitted by a court, unless there will be a substantial change in terms of the approach to mental illness in general, but specifically when they are in conflict with the law.
All right, we're running out of time, Carla. So just last word from you. What is your last call on this particular issue?
My last call is that everybody please mobilize, because people read the newspaper and say, oh my God, and then tomorrow they go back to their home and their quiet situation.
Yeah.
I'm asking everybody to take a stand, because it's a problem which is a general problem, is increasing and is affecting a whole heap of people. Stand up and fight.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Carla. I appreciate you always. That was Carla Gulato, the Executive Director of Stand Up for Jamaica. We take the break and we return with some more.
KFC, tastes so good with the price we love. For the famous ball KFC, we are gone. So delicious, what a good deal this. I'm satisfied, I'm a bucket now famous. Best tasting food for your money. So delicious, everybody love it. With the chicken, corn, mashed potatoes, melted cheese and gravy.
Hungry for deals? Get the famous bowl combo from KFC. Creamy mashed potato, delicious chicken, melted cheese, corn, and gravy, plus a Pepsi for just $590. Also available in barbecue. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Hi, I'm Ronald Thwaites, and I'm the host of The Public Eye and The Open Mind on the Bridge 99 and Ira Jam in the tri-state area. This program will tell you the truth about life backyard. Fair, open talk. No gossip, no slander. We want to listen to your concerns. Also want to help you with your problems in JA. We at The Bridge rate you and affirm our oneness as citizens of this blessed land we love. So join us now on Wednesdays on The Bridge, crossing the waters, linking Jamaicans and Jamaican lovers everywhere.
Yo, dancehall can't start when the money must shot the content.
Right. Introducing the Bridge 99 FM Dance Hall Chart Show.
I are the one, and they are what?
All about our weekly top 10 music countdown, our Bridge Spotlight featuring artists and music producers, and our chat with the Bridge Jocks and music director.
We bring you in on the action. Just send your videos every week for your favorite artists on the chart in our Fan Affair segment. Do it WhatsApp 876-551-5782.
Jogger!
It's new, it's authentic, it's trend-setting, and only on The Bridge. The Bridge 99 FM Dance Hall Chart Show, hosted by Shell.
You know the vibes this Friday at 1 p.m. at the wickedest thing since dancehall. You know the thing go, we're bringing the vibes to the where, to the what, to the world.
It's Jamaican, it's Caribbean, to the world on the Bridge 99 FM. You heard?
The people's champion. Our mission is love. Our vision is love.
Welcome back to Let's Start Justice. It was quite a heavy topic that we were discussing, and it's always one of those things we hope Jamaicans will stand up, as Carla just said, and let the state, our parliamentarians, those within the agencies know that we won't stand for what we have seen. Much more is needed, and as usual, it's the most marginalized among us that are subjected to these injustices. Persons from the working class poor, those who already can't afford it. So it's one of those things that are multiple and layered. Already you are suffering through deprivation of liberty. But again, it's who is suffering is always the thing for us to consider. And that is why sometimes when we speak and we become vocal on issues, the Bail Act, the mandatory minimum, I want the listeners to disabuse of themselves that somehow challenging those positions mean that you're supporting criminality. What we're saying is that those who are likely to suffer the injustices at the hand of the state would be those who can't afford the attorneys, can't afford to pursue an appeal all the way up to Privy Council. We have to go get visa and all of these requirements. So I want us to think on these things. And to segue into another issue that I saw a senator who went on the political platform. They didn't call JFJ's name, but they mentioned a lobby group, for example, that the legislator should ignore the lobby group, who is saying that the current mandatory minimum is far too excessive. Let me advise listeners that when it comes to capital murder, there's already two things that an individual who's found guilty can face based on law: life imprisonment or the death penalty. The existing prescribed minimum for capital murder is 20 years. It's just that the government want to increase it to, 45 or 50 years. And what we're saying is that it is excessive because you need room for negotiation. The judges to look at the circumstances of each case and say, this is what I'm willing to impose. For non-capital murder, it's life imprisonment. It's just that the starting point is 15 years. And the government wants to introduce it to what? 45. What we're saying again, you need room for negotiation to take place where the judges can say, based on this particular crime, it shocks the public's conscience. It is so heinous that though the starting point is 15, I think I'm going to be adding on years. So nobody is saying that those who are found guilty of murder should be released. And I want us to listen to those who make public utterances. Listen from an informed perspective so that people do not play into our fears where bad laws are passed that will likely affect the most marginalized and vulnerable in our population. And as Justice Sykes, who participated in an interview with Dion Jackson Miller, said, the legislator can do what they want, but the public must be prepared for the consequences. When you have an aging prison population, for example, you have to go consider diabetes and all of these things. Who's going to be paying for it? When you have court backlogs based on every single evidence we have looked at in North America, court backlogs are inevitable. Then people start suing the state, challenging the lawsuits, the terms of imprisonment, my apologies. When the backlogs are there, your matter, for example, someone who was victimized by sexual assault and other matters of that nature that is heard at the Supreme Court, when you have backlogs, it means that there is a delay in those matters being heard before the court. So I want people to again, disabuse themselves of the public utterances to suggest that persons who are found guilty of capital or non-capital murder, they're going to be released in society with low sentences. That is not the case. That is not the case. And I challenge our legislator to pass laws based on evidence. And I ask, what is the mischief that they're trying to solve? Other than trying to say to the public that something is somehow being done. That is the only thing. So I want us to look from an informed perspective. The other thing I want to quickly mention, we've been watching the Klansman gang trial. And I hope the public was paying attention to how sentences are handed down. And I'm heartened by the efforts of Chief Justice Brian Sykes, where he took his time to explain how he arrived at the sentences based on what is provided for in law, but also the varying mitigating and aggravating factors. So we saw, for example, the leader of the gang being sentenced to 39 years, 6 months. People are saying it is not enough based on all of the alarming things that they were found guilty of, all of the things that came out in trial. But it is something for us to ponder how we perhaps may revisit how the anti-gang legislation works, what provisions there are as we deal with the criminal gangs in the country. But this was a good day for law enforcement, a good day for society. And I think we need more of the gang elements being brought before the court. But again, back to the point I was making, I'm happy that Chief Justice took time to explain these matters and the public had an opportunity to listen in so you understand how sentencing is done. It was a good day for us being informed on these matters. And the last point I want to mention, we've heard some public utterances from parliamentarians on the political platform, and JFJ, where it is applicable within our mandate, we've challenged some of them and we've urged the leaders to do better. And it was for that reason that we have been calling for the political ombudsman to be reinstated. And I see where Citizens Action for Free and Fair Elections Cafe have joined that call as well just last week. Just last week, I heard Minister Delroy Chuck saying that the Parliament, through his office, is going to be making a cabinet submission to have the political ombudsman subsumed in the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. Cafe disagrees. JFJ, we don't have a position on that office being subsumed right now. But what we are saying, until that is done, put forward a political ombudsman so we can have someone who is the referee of sort that will bring some political decorum so that we can exercise our right to vote in a free and fair election without any commentary that is vile or commentary that is unbecoming of the office that these aspiring leaders are trying to hold. So just wanted to reiterate or bring into perspective some of these things. Also, I haven't had any winner of the double trivia, the special one, but we do have a winner that is on Instagram. Indax We Trust is the winner for this week's trivia. He correctly notes 40 years. Noel Chambers was detained for 40 years, 4 decades, at Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility without a trial. So Indax We Trust, thank you so much for participating and congrats. Our team will reach out to you for that credit to be given to you. But as usual, as we close out, we just want to say thanks to our listeners, our partner agencies who continue to support JFJ. We appreciate your efforts always, and we hope that you have a very good week and keep up with our social media platforms. We will keep you updated on the issues. Thanks again. My name is Mikkel Jackson, Executive Director of JFJ.
Jamaicans, by justice, the people's champion. Justice, justice for all. Justice under the law. Justice, Jamaica the known. Right to life, right to liberty. Out of many we are one in a Jamaica. Jamaica, make it a better place for the boys and girls. Created equal by the creator. For equal rights and opportunities. No to unlawful detention and police brutalization. Class, gender, race or religion. We not tolerate discrimination.
To join the fight against injustice, contact us at 755-4524 or JamaicансForJustice.org.
The people's champion.
Check. Boom blast, I don't know, sir. Black here this right now, representing for the biggest station right now, your Bridge FM. How you mean? Don't tune it? Yeah, don't change it. You know, we're watching.
KFC, tastes so good with the price we love. For the famous ball KFC, we are gone. So delicious, what a good deal this. I'm satisfied.